Have you ever looked at your life and thought, how did I get here? You're not alone. And more importantly, you're not broken. You're drifting. Drifting doesn't feel dramatic. It's quiet. It hides behind routines, obligations, and the slow decay of your personal direction. And one day you realize, you've been moving, but not becoming. You've been busy, but not building. The Stoics didn't believe in luck. They believed in clarity, in taking control of your mind before the world does. They taught that power is not found in inspiration, but in repetition, identity, and decisive action. You don't fix your life with a motivational quote. You rebuild it brick by brick with a formula. In this video, I'll walk you through a practical, mind-resetting approach designed for one purpose: to help you reclaim your direction and stop feeling lost. You'll learn how to create a definite chief aim, how to install it deep into your identity, and how to act on it daily. You'll discover how to stop overthinking, how to rebuild your life through mental clarity techniques, and how to develop daily self-discipline that actually sticks. If you're tired of floating, this is where you begin again. You're not too late, you're not too far gone, but you must decide. So stay with me. The next minutes may rewire everything. Like this video if it speaks to you. Subscribe for more Stoic tools. And share this with someone who's ready to stop drifting and start building. 1. You are not lost, you are drifting. Waking up every day with a heavy fog in your chest doesn't mean you're broken. It means you've been moving without direction for far too long. Most people confuse this with failure. They think something is wrong with them. But in truth, the real damage comes not from failure, but from drift. Drift is what happens when you stop commanding your life and let the noise of the world decide for you. It's not chaos that breaks men. It's a quiet resignation, and it begins the moment you stop making decisions. The modern world doesn't ask you to choose. It encourages you to scroll, to react, to float. A man can be busy all day, meetings, emails, conversations, and still feel utterly adrift by nightfall, because movement isn't progress. Motion without aim builds nothing. It drains energy, fogs your identity, and buries your voice under layers of input. The Stoics saw this clearly. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you don't have a consistent goal in life, you can't live it well." He didn't say to wait for clarity. He said to choose it. Many people today wait for some external spark to find themselves. They think clarity is something you stumble upon, but the Stoics believe clarity isn't found, it's forged. And the first fire is honesty, not the surface kind, not the polished bio, the brutal, mirror-facing honesty that hurts first, then heals. That's the real turning point. Not a new job, not a new location, but a new level of truth. Picture a man in his early 40s. He has a house, a family, and a steady income. But when the noise dies down, he feels hollow. He can't explain it. He doesn't feel broken, but he feels lost. Not in a dramatic way, in a quiet way. Like a compass that spins but never locks north. He thinks he's tired, but what he really is undirected. That's drift. And the longer it continues, the more your mind stops asking, what do I want, and starts settling for whatever's loudest. Drifting isn't obvious. That's what makes it dangerous. It's not the storm that sinks you. It's the slow leak in the hull that no one notices until the boat is already too low. The Stoics warned against this passive decay. They taught that a man must not just react to life, but define it. That's where the reclamation begins. Not with answers, but with confrontation. Sit down. No phone. No podcast, no music, just paper, pen, and presence. Then write the truth, not the kind you post online, but the kind you whisper in silence. Where are you in life right now? What have you become? What have you allowed to slide, to fade, to rot? Write without filters, not for punishment, for power. Because you cannot reclaim your life from a lie. You cannot build clarity on a foundation of denial. This practice isn't dramatic, but it's dangerous to the parts of you that are false, fragile, or outdated. That's why most avoid it. But if you want to stop drifting, this is the first discipline: brutal inner clarity. Now here's the Stoic twist. They didn't believe self-confrontation was weakness. They saw it as the start of wisdom. Epictetus said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish. Be foolish. Be uncomfortable. Be uncomfortable. Be raw, but be real. Because the man who writes the truth about where he is unlocks the path to where he must go. So today, don't wait for clarity to arrive. Create it, not with affirmation, but with revelation. Write until it stings, then write more. That pain is not failure, it's friction. The rub between who you are and who you were meant to become. And nothing rewires a life faster than that kind of honesty. If you feel lost right now, don't look for new paths. Burn the map, pick up the pen, and begin with the one thing only you can give yourself, a true account of your drift. That's not weakness. That's power beginning again. 2. Declare your definite chief aim. No man walks with power while his mind drifts in fog. The world is full of motion, but direction is rare, and only those who choose a clear aim ever escape the loop of confusion. Clarity is not given, it is built. And building begins the moment you declare, with conviction, what you truly want. Desire without direction is the modern disease. People say they want peace, success, impact. But when asked what exactly they are working toward, their eyes drop or their words trail off. That's not ambition, that's fog dressed as fire. And that fog kills momentum before it starts. Vague dreams do not move the subconscious. They don't command the body. They don't wake you up when energy runs low. Only a definite chief aim, specific, measurable, emotionally charged, has the power to transform thought into motion. The Stoics did not obsess over grand fantasies. They anchored life around clarity. Seneca wrote, "When a man does not know to which port he sails, no wind is favorable." He didn't mean to wait for certainty. He meant to write it, to commit it to language, to give your energy a purpose. Because if you don't command your day, your distractions will. If you don't decide where you're going, someone else will hire you to build their direction instead. Picture a man in his 50s. He's been working hard for decades, but now finds himself restless. He has achieved more than his younger self dreamed of. Yet he feels flat, not because he lacks ability, but because he stopped aiming. His goals have been replaced by maintenance. His energy is scattered. He tells himself he's tired, but what he really lacks is alignment. Without a defined aim, progress feels hollow, activity becomes routine, and life slips quietly into reaction. The mind needs a blueprint, and more than that, it needs an emotional stake. A chief aim isn't about impressing others. It's about awakening belief. It must feel bold. It must feel alive. It must be real enough to make you move. That's why writing it isn't optional. You must put it on paper. You must see the words. You must repeat them until your identity forms around them. That is how clarity becomes structure. But most people never write anything. They fear commitment. They fear choosing the wrong thing. So they delay, revise, and hesitate. And in doing so, they install indecision as their daily rhythm. That rhythm becomes identity. That identity becomes their ceiling. Stoic philosophy breaks this by confronting delay as a disease. Epictetus said, "First, say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do." He didn't mean wait until you're sure. He meant to declare and act. Here's how to begin. Take a notebook and write the sentence, "My definite chief aim is," then finish it with boldness. No filters, no perfection, just the truth. Write what lights your inner fire, not what pleases your friends or matches your resume. Then give it a date. Make it time-bound, then write what you will give in exchange. Because Stoicism is not about craving, it's about trade, action, sacrifice. Then write one step you will take today, not tomorrow, to begin. Don't wait until it's perfect, because a foggy aim pursued with fire brings more clarity than a perfect aim that never moves. Movement reveals more than delay ever will. That's the core principle. A man in motion is a man in transformation. End this drift. Write what you want, speak it aloud, and most importantly, pursue it even when unsure. Because the world doesn't reward vague ambition, it rewards the man who walks as though his aim is already fact. Clarity is not mystical, it's mechanical. It begins when you choose, so choose. Write your aim today, not to impress but to believe, not to fantasize but to command. That one line may become the sentence that saves your decade. 3. Install your aim through autosuggestion. A man who knows what he wants but never repeats it is like a builder who sketches a blueprint and leaves it on the floor. The subconscious doesn't follow passing thoughts, it obeys commands, but only when they're spoken with consistency, emotion, and image. That's the forgotten law. What you feed your mind repeatedly becomes the script it follows without question. If your days feel directionless, it's not because you don't have desires. It's because those desires haven't been installed. Autosuggestion isn't mysticism, it's mental mechanics. The subconscious doesn't evaluate, It doesn't filter good from bad. It simply responds to what's repeated, especially when backed by feeling. The reason most goals never materialize isn't lack of effort. It's a lack of programming. People set intentions once and expect them to last. They whisper dreams in January and forget them by March. But the mind doesn't remember what you said once. It builds from what you declare daily. The Stoics knew this long before it had a name. Epictetus told his students not just to learn virtue, but to rehearse it, to train the soul to become what it claims. Repetition wasn't optional. It was the path. And today, in a world of scattered attention and reactive living, that path matters more than ever. Because you are constantly being programmed, either by the world or by your own command. Imagine a man in his 30s trying to restart after a major setback. He's read the books, set the goals, even written a mission statement. But nothing sticks. Every Monday starts strong, and by Wednesday, the momentum vanishes. He blames discipline. But the truth is deeper. He has not told his mind what must be true every single day. He hasn't embedded his aim with the force required to override old doubts. Words are not decorations. They're weapons. When spoken aloud with emotion, they pierce deeper than thought. When combined with imagery, they become a tool of transformation. That's why autosuggestion works. Not because it's magic, but because it's designed. The more you say something with conviction, the more your subconscious begins to act as if it were already a fact. You walk differently. You decide faster. You move with energy that logic alone cannot provide. So here's the formula, grounded in reality. Desire plus belief, daily action, it's identity. Desire sparks movement, belief sustains it, action proves it. And when repeated with precision, this combination rewires your operating system. It's how Charles Schwab rose from steelworker to industry titan. Long before others called him a leader, he called himself one. Every day, aloud, without apology. He didn't wait for proof. He installed it through repetition. You must now do the same. Take your written chief aim and reduce it to one clear sentence. Then each morning, stand tall and speak it aloud, not as a chant, but as a command. Say it again at night. Do not whisper. Do not rush. Let it carry weight. Let your voice convince your nervous system that this is non-negotiable. After each repetition, close your eyes and see it. Picture the results. Feel the sensation of having it. Imagine the look in your eyes when it becomes real. That's not fantasy, that's reinforcement. Speak your aim, visualize it, feel it, act, then repeat. Every day, no exception. Because the mind doesn't change from inspiration, it changes from immersion. You can't casually install a new identity. You must hammer it in. You must burn it in with rhythm. Eventually, your body will move before your mind hesitates. Eventually, your environment will begin to shift because your energy is no longer neutral. Stop treating your goals like hopes. Treat them like orders. The man who repeats with belief becomes the man who achieves with force. And the world bends slowly to those who no longer ask, but declare. Say your aim like it's the law. Then move like it's already real. That is how you begin to build what others only dream of. 4. Daily formula for rebuilding change doesn't come from bursts of emotion. It's built from rhythm, from what you repeat when no one is watching. Most people think transformation requires motivation, luck, or some rare external spark. But the mind doesn't respond to fireworks, it responds to structure. If you want to rebuild your life, you don't need more hype. You need a formula. One you can follow every day. One that speaks to your subconscious in a language it understands. Repetition, precision, clarity. The Stoics believed that discipline isn't just moral, it's mechanical. A man's character is formed not by what he occasionally attempts, but by what he faithfully repeats. Seneca didn't write one letter and call himself a philosopher. He wrote hundreds. Marcus didn't reflect once. He wrote his meditations daily. Why? Because they understood a truth modern minds resist. Repetition is identity. What you do daily is who you become. And nothing rewires chaos into order faster than a fixed routine aimed at a fixed purpose. But here's the catch. Most people set goals and expect results without aligning their daily system. They know what they want, but their days are still dictated by randomness, reactivity, and emotional drift. So the goal becomes fantasy. The brain records inconsistency. The subconscious sees no proof and rejects the aim as fake. And that's why most people stay stuck in mental loops. Their desires and their habits speak different languages. Now imagine a man who feels he's constantly restarting. He reads the books, he writes his intentions, he starts strong, but each time he collapses by week 2. He thinks it's a discipline problem. In truth, it's a design flaw. He has no structure to embed his aim into his actions. His days lack a formula, and so his identity never updates. He's chasing a better life with the rhythms of his old self. That ends when you implement the daily formula. 4 steps, executed every day, spoken aloud, visualized, acted upon, and reviewed. These are not abstract rituals. They are commands to your nervous system. They are the way you prove to your subconscious that this aim is real. Step 1. Speak your aim aloud with full voice. Not a whisper, not a mumble. You must feel your chest rise when you say it. Your voice must carry your identity forward. When you declare your aim, you are training your brain to give it priority. Step 2. Close your eyes and visualize its fulfillment. See the exact moment your aim becomes reality. Picture where you are, how you feel, what you've become. The subconscious cannot tell the difference between vivid imagination and memory. When you rehearse success, your body begins to expect it. Step 3. Take one action toward your aim. It doesn't need to be massive, but it must be real. A call was made, a page written, a habit executed. Small steps build belief, inaction builds decay. Step 4. Audit your progress before bed. Ask yourself, what did I do today that moved me forward? What needs correction? What can be repeated tomorrow with more precision? This closing loop teaches your mind that you are watching and adjusting, which builds momentum. The Stoics wouldn't have called it a formula, but they lived by it. Marcus Aurelius reviewed his thoughts each day. Epictetus guided students to write their principles and review their behavior. Discipline wasn't abstract, it was structured. And now, it must be for you. This formula is not glamorous, but it is powerful. Each time you complete it, you rewire doubt into clarity, drift in a direction, and habit into identity. Miss a day, and you weaken the pattern. But repeat it, and you become the man who no longer needs to ask, am I changing? Because the evidence is felt in your voice, written in your notebook, and lived in your schedule. So begin tonight, write your aim, speak it aloud, visualize the outcome, take action. Then close the day with a reflection. This is no longer a hope. It is your operating system. And a man who lives by the system does not repeat his past, he rebuilds by design. 5. Master controlled attention. Chaos does not need your permission to enter, it just needs your attention. The modern mind is pulled in 1,000 directions, not because life is harder now, but because most people never trained themselves to focus. Attention is no longer a tool, it's a leash. And whoever tugs it wins your day, your mood, your identity. The man who doesn't own his attention ends up reacting, drifting, and fragmenting. His goals remain theoretical because his energy is scattered. He reads about mental clarity but builds no practice to protect it. Controlled attention isn't about becoming robotic or rigid. It's about knowing what deserves your inner light and ruthlessly cutting off what doesn't. The Stoics practiced this before attention was even a commodity. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. In today's terms, your mind reflects your focus. Whatever you return to, again and again, becomes your mental environment. And your environment becomes your identity. So the question isn't, how do I get better? It's, what am I feeding my focus? Imagine a man waking up with the intent to reclaim his life. He writes his goals, sets his intentions, and then opens his phone. Within 10 minutes, he's mentally hijacked, consumed by news, comparison, and useless noise. By noon, his inner fire is dim. He thinks he lacks discipline, but what he lacks is attention control. He lets the world write on his mind before he writes on it himself. The Stoic doesn't allow this. He builds a wall around his thoughts. He decides what enters and what must be shut out. He understands that attention is sacred, so he guards it with practice. He eliminates what weakens him. He feeds what builds him. He knows the mind doesn't respond to commands, it responds to patterns. And the most powerful pattern is return. What you return to is what you train your brain to value. So the Stoic returns to clarity, to intention, to his definite chief aim. While others scroll, he strengthens. While others react, he recenters. Controlled attention starts in the morning. Before the world speaks, speak to yourself. Before the noise enters, seal the gate. Use your attention to energize your aim. Visualize it, speak it, write it, This is not a motivational trick, it's psychological reinforcement. Then, during the day, build checkpoints. Ask yourself, what am I focusing on? Does this align with who I'm becoming? This question acts like a mental compass. It brings you back when you drift. It protects your energy from subtle sabotage. And at night, review the trail of your attention. Not to punish yourself, but to rewire. Attention, after all, is just a muscle. Use it wrong, it weakens. Use it with purpose, and it becomes precision. To make this real, choose 1 hour today. During that hour, block every notification. Close every tab. Turn off every distraction. Then pick one task aligned with your aim and give it full attention. Not half, not split. And once it's done, observe how your mind feels. Sharper, quieter, stronger. That feeling is the seed of mastery. Replant it tomorrow, then again the next, until focus is no longer an effort, but your nature. When Epictetus said, "You become what you give your attention to," he wasn't offering poetry. He was warning you. The modern man gives his mind away too easily, then wonders why he feels scattered. But the Stoic builds a fortress. He places his aim at the center and makes everything else answer to it. And in a world addicted to distraction, this quiet control is a superpower. One that no algorithm can steal. One that makes your mind unshakable, not by luck, but by design. 6. Rebuild identity with new internal script. The world won't rewrite your story. That job is yours, and if you don't write it, your past will. Most people feel lost not because they lack potential, but because they keep reciting an identity that no longer serves who they want to become. They tell themselves they're lazy, they're inconsistent, they're broken, and the mind, being obedient, complies. Words become walls, internal scripts become prisons, identity becomes inertia. You're not stuck, you're repeating, and what you repeat, you reinforce. So if the story you tell yourself is "I always mess things up," don't be surprised when your actions bend to that belief. Not because it's true, but because you rehearsed it so well it became your emotional default. The Stoics knew the power of language, not just in public speech, but in private thought. Epictetus warned, first say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do. Modern minds skip the first part. They chase habits without rewriting the self. Change doesn't start with action. It starts with a declaration. Not one shouted to the world, but one whispered to yourself with conviction. I am the type of person who acts with courage. I am the type who moves even when afraid. I am the one who finishes what I begin. These aren't affirmations for the mirror. They are blueprints for a new self. Because if you don't decide who you are, the world will do it for you. And its version is weak, dependent, and easily manipulated. Imagine a man waking up from years of passive identity. He's lived as the quiet one, the anxious one, the one who never gets ahead. One morning he finally asks, what if that story is outdated? What if I wrote a new one? And he sits, writes 10 new truths. Not goals, but identities. I show up when it matters. I make decisions with clarity. I discipline my emotions. Then he speaks them aloud. Not once, every morning. Not without a doubt, with belief. Slowly, his actions align. The past doesn't vanish, but it loses its command. This is how transformation begins. Not by waiting for life to give you proof, but by choosing who you are before you have evidence. Stoicism teaches that identity is not discovered, it's forged. That means your current self is a reflection of what you've rehearsed, not who you are destined to be. And the script can be edited, but only if you become its author. Your internal narrative must evolve before your external reality does. So write as if your life depends on it, because it does. In a quiet room, no distractions, open a page and declare, I am the type of person who, and finish that sentence 10 times. Be specific, be strong. Then repeat those truths daily. Speak to them when no one is watching. Speak to them especially when you doubt. These words are not fluff, they are neurological triggers. Repeated truth forms new pathways, and pathways shape perception. Perception shapes action. Action builds the man. If you skip this step, you risk falling back into reaction. Old thoughts will return. Old identities will whisper. But when you have a script, you fight back. You correct yourself. You say, no, that's not me anymore. And every time you do, you weaken the old and strengthen the new. You shift your center of gravity from emotion to intention. So today begin, not with plans, with identity, not with motivation, with a decision. Say who you are, then prove it. Not once, but every day. until the voice in your head stops arguing, until your actions no longer contradict your words, until your mind no longer doubts the man you've become. Stoicism doesn't promise ease, it offers power. And the first form of power is authorship. If you feel lost, rewrite yourself. The pen is in your hand, use it. 7. Reconnect with inner stillness before making big changes. A frantic mind makes foolish moves. When people feel lost, their first instinct is motion. Any motion. They change jobs, cut people off, move cities, sign up for courses, chasing clarity through chaos. But a change made in confusion rarely brings peace. It brings more noise. Like a man trapped in a fog, running faster won't get him out. It just gets him more lost. What he needs is stillness, not speed. Stillness isn't passivity. It's precision. It's the space between reaction and decision. A space where the dust settles and your deeper voice, buried under fear, doubt, and noise, can speak again. In Stoic philosophy, stillness is not the absence of movement, it's the presence of clarity. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul. And yet most people search for answers outside because they've never trained their minds to quiet themselves long enough to hear their own direction. Many believe that doing something, anything, is better than pausing. Society praises hustle. Action equals value. But the Stoic challenges that reflex. Why act if your mind is unprepared? Why change locations if your inner compass is broken? You don't escape confusion by escaping your environment. You escape it by rebuilding clarity within. That clarity begins when you stop filling every silence with distraction. When you dare to sit, to breathe, to ask, what am I really avoiding by staying busy? Picture a woman who feels behind in life. Everyone seems ahead, friends with careers, partners direction. She signs up for classes, moves to another city, and rebrands herself online. Months pass, nothing feels grounded, she burns out. Then one morning she sits still. No phone, no goals, just breathe. She listens. For the first time in years, she hears something deeper than panic. A truth, not flashy, but clear. I never gave myself time to ask what I actually want. That moment, quiet, unremarkable, becomes the starting point of real change, not because of what she did, but because of what she stopped doing. Stillness is a form of strength in a world addicted to noise. It's not sexy, it's not praised, but it's what allows the mind to reset. The Stoics understood this. Seneca advised withdrawing into oneself daily, not to escape, but to return armed with clarity. Without that, any decision becomes another layer of confusion. Most people don't need more tools. They need less mental clutter. They don't need to change their lives overnight. They need to reset their thoughts before making a single move. So here's a starting practice. Set a timer for 5 minutes. No talking, no phone. Sit down. Breathe. Let thoughts come. Don't follow. Don't resist. Just observe. When the noise starts, you're wasting time. You need to act. You're falling behind. Don't argue. Let them pass. Like clouds. Keep breathing. At the end, write one sentence. What do I need right now? Not to feel productive, but to feel clear. That sentence may surprise you. It may expose a hidden truth you've ignored. That's your compass. Before making any life decision in a time of confusion, ask, am I acting from clarity or fear? If it's fear, wait. If it's panic, breathe. If it's desperation, sit still. Your life isn't a fire that needs to be put out in 5 minutes. It's a path that becomes visible only when the fog lifts. And the fog lifts not through frantic movement, but through mental discipline. Rebuilding your life doesn't begin with dramatic shifts. It begins with silent strength, with the courage to stop, to center, to hear the self behind the noise. In times of confusion, silence is your first strategy, not forever, but long enough to let your inner compass wake up. The next time you feel lost, don't rush. Withdraw into stillness. Let the storm swirl. You stay grounded. Then and only then move, but not before. 8. Decide who you want to be, then act like it. Losing your way often feels like a loss of identity. You wake up and the reflection in the mirror looks like someone who used to know where they were going. But now, just drifting, doubting, waiting for a sign. The mistake people make in this moment is thinking they need a perfect plan to begin again. That clarity must strike first, that some magical external event will hand them their next chapter. It won't, because direction isn't given, it's decided. Identity is not a discovery, it's a construction. You don't stumble into who you are, you build it. and the cornerstone of that building is decision. Epictetus said it best: first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Most never say it. They don't claim it. They wait to feel ready, to be sure, to be validated. They wait so long they mistake hesitation for humility. But Stoicism doesn't reward the passive. It rewards the intentional. You must decide. Then behave as if your life depends on that decision, because it does. Let's take a real-world scene. A man in his late 30s, freshly laid off, marriage frayed, future foggy. He starts waking up late, scrolling endlessly, telling himself he's thinking things through. In truth, he's decaying, slowly, quietly, not because he lacks ideas, but because he refuses to commit to one. Then, one afternoon, he writes a sentence on a sticky note: I am a builder, not a victim, not a thinker, a builder. The next morning, he gets up at 5 a.m., doesn't need to, but builders rise early. He puts on his shoes, doesn't need to go anywhere, but builders move. By the end of the week, he's built a habit. By the end of the month, he's built momentum. And that's how identity rewrites itself, through repetition of chosen action, not emotion. Most people misunderstand change. They think it begins with a grand realization. But in Stoicism, it begins with commitment. Not to a feeling, but to a role. When you feel lost, the Stoic path doesn't ask, what happened to you? It asks, who will you become now? That shift is everything. Instead of reacting to circumstances, you reclaim authorship. You choose your traits, you define your character, you decide your story. And that one decision slices through confusion like a blade. Think of identity like armor. In chaos, it protects you. In doubt, it grounds you. But it only works if you forge it with fire. Meaning, you choose it, test it, and live it before you feel like it. Emotional clarity may come later, but behavioral clarity must come now. That's what rewires your mindset. Every act is a vote for who you're becoming, so cast those votes. Every time you act in alignment with your chosen identity, you reinforce it. And each day you don't, you weaken it. So don't wait to feel like someone strong. Act like them now. Don't wait to feel focused. Train that focuses through disciplined action. Don't wait to feel confident. Speak with conviction. Move with purpose. Stand up straight. Small actions, daily, with your identity locked in. You'll be amazed at how fast the fog clears when your actions stop reflecting confusion and start reflecting command. To put this into motion, write one sentence tonight: I am a man, woman who, and finish it not with how you feel, but who you choose to be. Then tomorrow morning, act as if it were true. Not for a year, just for a day, and then again and again. That's how the lost become unshakable, not by finding something, but by building someone, you, relentlessly, repeatedly, until one day you look up and realize you're not lost anymore. You simply outwalked your confusion by becoming too clear to be shaken. When you feel lost, it's not the world that needs to change. It's your position within it. What we explored today is not a set of empty motivational lines, but a discipline of clarity. You don't need to wait for life to offer you permission. You don't need a map drawn by someone else. You only need a decision, a silent, powerful inner vow to choose who you will become, and then to act as if that choice defines every breath, every step, every word. In this moment, your mind might still be clouded. That's expected, but clarity is not an accident. It is a habit. Each day that you repeat your chosen identity, you rewire your mindset. Each action becomes a declaration. Each silence becomes space for rebuilding. You are not lost because you lack answers. You are only lost when you forget that direction is a decision, that you hold the power to restart, rebuild, and redefine. The Stoics taught us that life is not a matter of conditions, but of command. And command begins with self-discipline, with emotional detachment from what you cannot control, and full ownership of what you can. Your breath, your next move, your choice of identity. If you do one thing after this video, let it be this. Every morning ask yourself, not what the day holds, but who you must be to own it. Then live from that answer, deliberately, fully, without apology. Share your story in the comments below. Who are you choosing to become today? Your clarity might light the path for someone else who's silently rebuilding, just like you. And in that quiet strength, we all rise.